Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors at Trillium. We've been looking at Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, Abraham Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And we've been looking at it from a Christian point of view, from an upside-down point of view. Because Maslow will want to begin the journey of our needs from the body, whereas Jesus begins the journey of human need from the spirit. And it seems to me the journey is very different where we begin it. And in the sense that Maslow will move upwards towards that transcendent connection. Jesus starts with the transcendent connection and begins to move through the body. Now today we're looking at esteem needs, which is the fourth hierarchy in Maslow's pyramid, but in Jesus it's number 2. Where Maslow moves up from the body to esteem needs, Jesus rests them on our connection with the transcendent, with God. And it got me thinking, but what do we mean by esteem? It's a word that's used a lot, but it's got a nebulous sense to me. What does esteem really mean? And after thinking about it for a while, I realized that esteem is another way of describing identity needs. We have identity needs. Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of my life? Why should anyone attend to me at all in this life? And it got me thinking about the Desi Dorada, famous spiritual poem. You may have heard it before. One line goes like this. It says, "You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here." It's beautiful. You have a right to be here. You have a right to be taken seriously. You have a right to have your needs attended to in a respectful way. You have a right to be taken with some consideration in this life. But it does beg something. Who says that's true? I mean, the poem says it's true, but who really affirms that it's true? And I think that affirmation can only come out of our connection with the transcendent. That's the only way we can really learn it. It's where we rest it, is our connection with God. And the scriptures say that we are children of God. That's what it's talking about. Our esteem, our identity rests in the transcendent connection with our Creator. And that's a powerful statement when you think about it. I mean, in Maslow's hierarchy, he says our esteem needs are met through prestige and through accomplishment and through fame. That's how we get our esteem needs met. Our identity needs are met. And I'm thinking to myself, geez, that's a pretty precarious place to be. I mean, the world's pretty fickle with its fame. I mean, in fact, most of us will not be famous. We won't get a Wikipedia listing. We're not going to be inducted to a Sports Hall of Fame. We won't make it onto the Nobel laureate prize list. We're not going to make it into some Academy Award nomination. We're not going to be a famous political figure. We're just kind of everyday average people. So where does our esteem needs, where does our identity needs reside? But even if we did manage to get famous, that prestige is pretty fleeting. I was asking a young person recently, who they knew who Jack Nicklaus was. Nope. Probably the greatest golfer of all time. They don't. Jack Nicklaus is forgotten in the younger generations. What about Laurence Olivier? One of the great actors of the 20th century. Answer: no, never heard of him. Meryl Streep? No, sorry. Princess Diana? I think I've heard her name mentioned before. You go down the list of people 50, 75 years ago who were famous. Most of them are forgotten today. I don't think it's a wise thing to rest our esteem, our identity, on the fame of the world. In fact, Jesus challenges his disciples to rest on a completely different set of assumptions about life, about being the human being. See, we're not, as Christians, even supposed to focus on living life. We're focusing our attention on being lived and allowing ourselves to be taken up and carried through life by a limitless energy of love that is far greater than we can contain, because it includes everything and everyone. And this was tested in a moment when James and John, one of Jesus' disciples, come to him and say, "Lord, when you come into your glory, we want to sit on the privileged seat on either side of you. We want the best seat in town, one on one side and one on the other." And when the other 10 disciples heard this, that just blew the whole community open. There was a big argument going on. Who's the greatest? Who deserves that seat of prestige? And in that moment, Jesus said, no. I've turned the hierarchy of esteem on its head. That's not how you're to be. When power is given to the lords of the Gentiles, of the world out there, it goes to their head and they lord it over other people. But with you, it's not to be that way. See, in the upside down world of the spirit, that which was least becomes most, and what was most becomes least. And he says it this way: whoever wants to be the greatest must become a servant. Whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave. That is what the Son of Man has done. He came to serve, not to be served, and then to give away his life in exchange for many who are held hostages. That's another way of talking about that our identity needs rest in God. And that as children of God, we have nothing more to prove than just simply to be who we are. It means that our identity rests on the knowledge that we are both loved by God, our Maker, and that we are to be loved through by our Maker to others.